Hey everybody, I am Heather Kusiba. This is Tara McCauley. We are here with Wilridge Pie Bar's crew. We got Paul, we got Scott, and then we got Jessica over here. So just introduce yourselves and kind of what you do here.
Scott Aldridge, General Manager of the Pie Wine Bar by Wilridge Winery. I've been with Paul for about a year and a half now, and we're making things happen here in Woodinville.
Awesome.
And I'm Paul Beveridge. I'm, I guess, the founder of Wilridge Winery. We were founded in Seattle 35 years ago. Makes us the original urban winery here in Washington State. We've got a number of other firsts, including the first combined distillery and winery. And then we decided we needed pies too, so we brought Jessica along.
Hi, I'm Chef Jessica Stepp, and I am the head pastry chef at Pie Wine Bar. Been here for a little over a year now, and I love it so much.
So Paul, tell us a little bit about how it's gone these last 35 years and what you've done in this journey to bring us here.
Well, I'm a recovering environmental attorney.
Wow.
Yeah, and so over the years, when I first started, my ex-wife was a chef in town, and she had a restaurant. She wanted to have a true French bistro with mom in the kitchen and dad in the basement making the wine. And so we applied to the Liquor Control Board and found out that was illegal. And that was my introduction to the crazy laws left over from Prohibition. Mm-hmm. And so 35 years of pro bono work for the wine industry trying to fix those laws. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we did with a group we call Family Wineries of Washington State is we got additional tasting rooms allowed. Before that, you could only have your tasting room at your manufacturing facility. And, what if you were up some dirt road and you wanted to be at the interstate or wanted to be in Woodinville? Mm-hmm. So we got that allowed, and then that really created this boom in Woodinville. Mm-hmm. And then we changed it a little later to allow 3 tasting rooms. So now you can have your tasting room here. We have one in Pike Place Market. We have one in Yakima, maybe Walla Walla next. Who knows? So that's been part of it. It's kind of a sad commentary that my legal training has been so important to the success of our winery. Mm-hmm. And the other thing we did as a first is we got the laws changed so that we could have a distillery and a winery in the same location, mm-hmm. and in an additional tasting room. So we were this site here, Wilridge Pie Wine Bar, is the first tasting room where you can have a glass of wine and a cocktail under the same roof, and that's been great. And the other thing we did was, having run a few tasting rooms, before we opened this one, is people want some food, and they get hungry, they go somewhere else. And we looked at, I've been looking at Woodinville for a long time, obviously great place for wine lovers. Mm-hmm. And, I thought about pizza, and then how about pie? Mm-hmm. And then we hooked up with Jessica, who has won many, many awards for her pies. And anybody who's eaten here, as you can tell, they are fabulous. So that's how we've gotten started, and it's been great.
They look delicious.
They look
so I'm excited to try one of those sometime.
We'll let you have a bite after.
Yeah. The hard part is stopping myself from just reaching over and tasting now. I guess I should stay for the interview. So tell me a little bit more about you, how you really got started in this industry, how you came over here and just ended up being who you are here.
It's a long story. It's a deep story. I'll try to keep it short. I got in the business approximately in 2010. I was a superintendent for a construction company when the market crashed, and there was nothing else to do in my business. During the holidays, my wife and I ordered some product from our local wine steward, and we went in to pick up. I had a great conversation with the gentleman. On the way out, my wife was like, "Hey, you just had a great conversation with him. You love wine. You like to eat. Why don't you do that?" Yeah. And I was like, "Do what?" I'm like, "Drink and eat?" And she was like, "Yeah." And so we lived only a mile away from the store. And before we got home, she found the Northwest Wine Academy. And so I reached out to the Northwest Wine Academy. They let me come and sit down on some classes. I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And from that point on, I was 100% in. I went from knowing nothing about what I liked in wine to within 6 months testing with the Court of Masters and getting certified. We've got 5 or 6 different wine certifications over the course of the years, and went on from there. I started off in retail with QFC out in North Bend, which was a very long commute because it was an hour each way. But I gave them a year of my life, and we grew the business. I grew the business for that store, which is fantastic. After that, I went into wholesale. Worked with 3 different small wine distributors in Seattle. I've sold from Soto, so South Seattle, up to Bellingham, including all the islands. Most of my time has been in downtown Seattle. So I've sold to all the restaurants and hotels, mainly downtown Seattle. And then COVID hit. So I was on premise, and when COVID hit, restaurants shut down. So unfortunately, I was the first one to get terminated with the company I was with because I didn't have any retail. Things started coming back. I got into more of the tasting rooms here in Woodinville. Paul and I crossed paths about a year and a half ago. Things clicked. It felt right, and we decided to get together as what I could help him do here in Woodinville with everything that I've done in my past. And, we're making things happen. We found Jessica shortly after Paul brought me on, and things are going great.
That's awesome. I love the literally working your way from the ground up and really making such progress in the industry really quickly, I feel too, compared to what I would think.
100% in. People always said it's hard. These tests are hard. I never found one of the tests hard because I was 100% invested.
Yeah.
It's what I wanted to do.
It's not work if you love it.
Yeah, it's not work. It's fun.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome.
I would say the hardest part of the certifications would be my Italian certification. It was mainly handwritten, not multiple choice. And it took every bit of the 3 hours they gave us. And I was the only one that passed.
Yeah. Wow. Good work. That's awesome.
And did I mention that Wilridge grows more Italian varieties than any other winery in Washington State?
No kidding.
So you got the right guy then.
and he makes damn fine cocktails too.
Ooh, yum.
I try my best.
That's good. Yeah, my story is similar to Scott's. I've loved wine since I turned 21 and even before that. And so when we started the winery in Seattle, 35 years ago, I was only 7 when it started.
Of course.
We operated out of there for 20 years at about 1,500 square feet, doing 1,500 cases, which is insane. We'd bring the grapes over, stomp them in the street. People would help. It was a lot of fun. And then I finally got tired of working at a big law firm downtown. So I said, I'm going to go all in the winery. So I took my partnership buyout from the law firm and found a fabulous property near Yakima. And so we planted 22 grape varieties out there. We have a huge range of products, which is crazy. And moved more of the production there. We still do production in Seattle also. And our facility there is on this beautiful property outside of Yakima on the Cowiche Canyon Nature Preserve. So we're 2 miles from Yakima, but you think you're in the middle of nowhere. It's spectacular. We have 360-degree views. You picnic in the vineyard. So from the beginning, we wanted to be organic because I had young children and our customers are wandering around the vineyard. We're certified biodynamic too. We're the first in Washington. That's the highest level of certification that you can get. Yeah. As an environmental lawyer, we want to be as green as possible. We're solar powered. We do refillable bottles. We're working on all this composting, all these different things we do. Wow. And then part of that was, wait a minute, we have this waste product, the grape skins, the pressings when we're done with the wine, and we were just composting it in the vineyard. I'm like, in Europe, they would make grappa out of this. In Italy, why aren't we doing that? So I asked the liquor board, and they said it was illegal. Oh my God. And so that's when the journey to get wineries to be able to have their own distillery, and that took a long time. But finally, It's been now 6 years since we first got the still. And we got a beautiful, it's made in Portugal. There's only 2 facilities left in the world that make these handmade stills. It's designed for fruit brandy and grappa. It's the opposite of a vodka still. Vodka, you're trying to strip away the flavors, distill it multiple times. We're trying to hold those flavors. So when you try a Wilridge brandy, you're getting apricot or apple or pear or the grappa and all those aromas. We only pass it through the still one time. So we can capture that. And then, that goes great with Jess's pies too, as well as the wine. And then, to be able to expand cocktails has opened us up to a whole new clientele too, that, not everybody wants to have wine all the time, I've noticed. So. And we do carry beer and cider as well.
Wow.
That's awesome. I love just how much your background pulled into you starting this whole thing, like in so many different ways too. It's like literally your entire soul is into what you've created, which is really, really neat.
Well, people ask me sometimes, they say, Paul, where did you get all these great ideas for improving the wine industry in Washington? And I say, I don't have a single original idea. I just look at Europe and what works in Europe and say, why don't we do it here?
Yeah.
And the only reason we don't is because silly laws left over from Prohibition. So we've slowly fixed it, and we're almost there. We have the perfect weather climate for wine in Washington. Hopefully we're going to have the perfect legal climate soon too. So
there you go.
Okay, so I also have kind of like a long story and different background. I actually didn't start culinary originally. I went to school for marine biology, and I was studying killer whales in the San Juan Islands.
Cool.
So I'm very passionate about the environment, and part of that was I was working at salmon hatcheries, and I loved working with salmon. One thing, though, is working with whales became a little too emotional for me, and I would be sad after, tragedies. And so I would come home and bake a pie to make myself feel better. And then I was like, this makes me really happy. So one day I dropped everything. I went to culinary school. And that's kind of how I ended up here, because I love pies. I'm so passionate about making pies. I learned how to make pies from my grandma. And when I found out that we were salmon safe and his environmental background, it really just pieced everything together for me, because it's everything I care about, and it's just a really special place for me.
I love how perfectly all 3 of you guys have it really just has lined up to be absolutely perfect. So your passions are reflected, and the things that you went through and the certifications you went through, and especially the Italian one, it sounds like was crazy. And having very Italian wines, it sounds like you guys are really just the perfect people to have on board. So you did a great job finding people.
Well, one really nice thing about the wine industry, compared to, say, the legal industry, there's really nice people in the wine industry.
Yes.
They're fun to work with. We're selling happiness. So
happiness in a bottle.
It's wonderful.
So we've heard a little bit about the range of products that you produce and what has led you here, but let's do a little bit of a deeper dive into what all you make.
Well, we're a little crazy. We probably make a wider range of products than anybody else in the state. We have 22 grape varieties planted at the vineyard, including some. We were the first to ever plant Sagrantino, Italian grape that I love. We just planted Triga Franca. We're the first as a Portuguese grape. We're second on Zweigelt, second on Nebbiolo, which is probably our cult wine if we have one. We make a fabulous Nebbiolo, as good as the best Barolos and Barbarescos from Italy. And so people ask, why do you have so many? Well, they're the wines I like. and when we planted the vineyard, we had 85 acres. So we planted a 10-acre test block. And the idea was we were going to expand to the rest of the property. But then the recession hit and COVID and everything else. So now we're up to about 15 acres of grapes, and we're slowly expanding every year. So that results in about 30 different wines when you put in the blends and all that. We have a port made with 4 Portuguese grape varieties and our own brandy. We have a Bordeaux blend that uses all 5 of the red grapes allowed in Bordeaux. There's a special prize if you can name all 5. And then, but then we have we have single vineyard varieties, single varieties too, and part of it is just to make something for everyone. So we have white, we have red, we have rosé, we have dry, we have sweet, we have a whole line of dessert wines. Then you throw in the brandies, and that started because of the grappa, and also we inherited some old apple and pear trees, some heirloom apple and pear trees, and they weren't small. The acreage wasn't large enough to be economically viable, so they were going to get torn out. I said, well, darn it, we're going to get this still, and we're going to start making brandy. And so we have a whole line of the brandies. We do 5 kinds of apple, so you can get a Gala, a Granny Smith, a Honey Crisp, a Crab Apple, Golden Delicious. We do Bartlett pear, Danjou pear. We have apricot. We're working on quince, which makes fabulous brandy.
Wow.
All sorts of, and of course plum, a bunch of plum, and then 5 types of grappa from the different grapes that we grow. So then there you go. There's another 20 SKUs.
Wow.
But the other fun thing about it is we always have something that will match with Jessica's pies. And she does the sweet and the savory. You want to talk about your pies a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Okay. So one thing that makes us a little bit different is that we're not a bakery. We're a winery that happens to have pies. So our pies are kind of like our version of a charcuterie board. So it's not like you're getting a full meal. So you're getting a slice of pie, for example, right here. We have our berry port pie and then our peanut butter cup pie. So I do cream pies, fruit pies, and then our savories. So we'll normally always have like a chicken pot pie, an enchilada pie, and a shepherd's pie. So it's nice to have like a dinner pie to pair with your wines. For sweets, it's always going to be rotating with the season. So I like to find fruit that matches the season. For like summer, you're definitely going to get like your peach pies, your strawberry rhubarbs. Winter, you're going to get more of that warm feeling. So you're going to get like our maple brandy pecan, which is really popular. And we use our brandy, which is so good. It's aged 8 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's so good. And it's so fun to like pair our wines, like our port. That's our 2015 port in our berry pie. So yeah, pies are always going to be rotating. There's always going to be something a little bit different and something for everyone.
I love that you guys have done this collaboration, and what a creative way to come in and have a snack with wine that's not what you get anywhere else. I love it. Very unique.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very obvious, like, how thoughtful it is, too. Like, using some of the things that you guys have created into the food itself is, it's really just kind of all melds together, which is really neat. And I don't think I've seen that very often. So that's really, really neat.
It's rare.
Yeah.
Definitely unique. I love it.
Yeah. So, Scott, can you tell us a little bit more about the cocktails?
Cocktails, yes. So we have a beautiful, I don't want to say beautiful, all of them are beautiful. Our lemon drop, we go through a very extensive process of filtering out the lemon juice to where it's almost clear. So you can taste the lemon, but you don't see it. So when you pour it, it's clear. It looks like water. But we do a non-dairy foaming agent to give it a little contrast of a white foam on top. We have our own take on a margarita that we call our grappa-rita, based on one of our grappas.
Yeah.
The grappa alone reminds me of like a Blanco tequila, which is very cool. I'm currently working on our version of a Sazerac based on our apricot brandy.
Fun.
Because the apricot does have a little hint of black licorice, a little anise. So we've made some adjustments, but it's still not strong enough to be like a true Sazerac flavor. We have a version of a Negroni, so if people like bitters, the Negroni is spectacular. When people taste it, they're like, this is unique, it's different. And they sip the second time, like, this is really good.
Yeah.
They're like, how'd you do that? Like, well, it's time, it's effort, trying to find the right balance between all the different ingredients. We do your classic martinis. We do a martini with pretty much every apple that we make. We do classic martinis with almost everything that we produce. We have a newer 5-year-old Gala apple brandy, which makes the most amazing old fashioned, which I just learned recently.
Wow.
The brandy old fashions are Wisconsin based, and people in Wisconsin are talking about it.
Wow.
So we've had people at the hotel, because we share a parking lot with the hotel. When they say they're from Wisconsin, some have actually said, we've heard about your old fashioned.
Oh, how special.
Yes.
That's awesome.
great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We were written up as one of the, I don't want to say best, one of the top places for a beverage in all of Snohomish County and the east side to come have wine or a cocktail. And Jessica didn't mention, but we were also said by Seattle Refined as one of the best pies in the entire Pacific Northwest.
Wow.
Wow, that is huge.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And you know, one thing I want to say with Scott and his creativity and his artistry, any cocktail that you like can be made with brandy, and just the name changes.
Yeah.
So you know, if you make a Manhattan with brandy, it's a Frenchie. You know, and so a lot of folks, it's really fun for them to come in and what's your favorite cocktail?
Yeah.
Well, we'll make it with brandy.
Yeah.
And brandy, I think, is going to be the next big spirit. I mean, we've had the vodka craze, the gin craze, the brown spirits craze. The thing with brandy is the most expensive to make because we're using pure fruit. It's not like whiskey with a bag of flour, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it takes a box of pears to make a bottle of our pear brandy. And it's 100% pure fruit. We don't add anything. There's no additives. There's not even any sugar or yeast added. It's completely natural. So it's the purest, and from our environmental standpoint, you know, it's one of the purest products. You're getting pure essence of the fruit. And then Scott does amazing things with it.
Wonderful.
On that note, one cool factor that we do here is we also do a flight tasting of our spirits. So we do a 4 half-ounce pours if you are interested in tasting some of the product that we distill.
Oh,
So you
awesome.
can taste it.
And you can do it with, you know, straight or at 80 proof, or you can, you know, have a little water, side of water, a little ice, or seltzer. And what is the original hard seltzer? Brandy and soda.
There you go.
So there you go.
Well, that is awesome. I love just how clean all the products are. I feel like that's a semi-dead art that luckily is starting to come back, but just how there's always additives and things, especially in America. There's so many additives, and American wines frequently have sugars in them and everything. So it's really cool just how pure you're trying to keep all of your products.
There's a big trend in natural wines these days, and you cannot get more natural than Wilridge.
I love that. That is amazing. And I think that will speak really well to like a lot of viewers and stuff too, because anybody who knows the Pacific Northwest, there's a lot of health nuts around here. So it's really cool just kind of knowing some of that stuff and knowing in a way like how healthy it is, because there's not all that hidden stuff that you just don't know.
And that's part of our philosophy, is to express the vintage and the fruit, not some fancy new winemaking technique or a trend. If you try 2 of our wines from different years, the difference is going to be the weather that year.
Sure.
Not Paul did something new in the
Yep.
winery or that. And yeah, we really believe in letting the fruit speak.
Yeah, that is amazing. I love that. That is awesome.
And all our wines are vegan. They're certified salmon. They're salmons.
I did see the salmon one on your website.
Yeah, they're certified organic. They're certified biodynamic.
I love that you've got a biodynamic winery. That is so valuable.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
That's
that's
brilliant.
a whole nother topic.
That is a
but
whole other topic.
That is wonderful. I got into biodynamics from a quality standpoint because the best wines in the world are coming from biodynamic vineyards. And there's all these stories of it being revitalizing old vineyards. But then once we started doing it, and the more I learned about it, the cooler it is.
Yeah.
So that'd be a fun other talk.
Yeah, I'll say I'm already seeing that we might need to take a trip down to Yakima and go that direction.
Well, did I mention that of the wine growing regions on the east side of the mountains, Natchez Heights, where we're located, is the closest to Woodinville.
Perfect.
So we can be your first stop on your way to Red Mountain or Walla Walla, and then you can come back on your way back too.
So Thank you guys so much for allowing us to interview today. This has been a lot of fun, and we've learned a heck of a lot. So kind of to close out, is there anything just in general you want to share?
Well, I mean, what I'd say is if you've got a friend from out of state who wants to be turned on to Washington wine, send them to Woodinville, where they can do so many different places. Yep. Send them to our tasting room in Pike Place Market because they're going to visit there anyway. They can do 8 wineries in one spot there. We're next to the Pink Door on Post Alley. And if they want to see wine country, I'll take them out to Wilridge. You can day trip from here, although an overnight's even better. A weekend in Yakima is great, as is a weekend in Walla Walla, say. And in either one, you're 5 minutes from us as you drive through Yakima. And once people see us at the vineyard, then they're hooked forever. They become wine club members. They come pick up here from Scott, and that's great. And if you want to press your friends with some unique stuff, we make Zweigelt. That's from Austria. It's a great grape for Washington. The same reasons that Austria's a little cooler. They're on the side of the Alps. We're on the side of the Cascades. That's a really fun one. And then Sagrantino, that's a big, huge red. That's for the American palate. If you like a big, rich Cabernet, you're going to love Sagrantino. It has more resveratrol, that's supposed to be good for your health than any other grape variety.
Currently, I believe there's less than 1,000 acres planted in the world to Sagrantino.
Wow.
And for us to have that planted I have a special place in my heart for it. Back to reference to my Italian certification, last question was, pick a grape, tell us everything about it. I chose Sagrantino.
Wow.
Awesome.
Because I didn't know about the grape until that class. So for Paul to have it, to me, it just means a lot.
Serendipity.
Yeah,
sure.
the little town of Montefalco in Italy, and we thought we were going to have to import it and go through a 6-year quarantine. But we found one plant at UC Davis that they said had been in their vine library for over 100 years, labeled as Sangiovese, but that an Italian expert, had come and said, I think that's Sagrantino. And they said, if you want to try it, we'll give you 30 cuttings. And so I got those and then worked with WSU, and they said, Paul, well, if you'll donate it to our library, we'll do the genetic testing for free, and we'll do up 1,500 cuttings for you.
Wow.
So that's how we got started, and now we're spreading around other vineyards. There's now about a dozen vineyards of Sagrantino, and they all came from that one plant that we brought up.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you have a Northwest Sagrantino, it came from Wilridge Vineyard.
It came from you.
Yeah. You guys have your hand in so much of the just fun facts of the area.
We're crazy.
That is amazing.
A lot of people don't know about what Wilridge is.
Yeah.
And they become so fascinated when they come in. And when I start talking about what we are and what Paul has done, not just for us as a company, but who he is and what he's done for the state of Washington, wine and spirits industry, people are just like, I had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're not very good at marketing. That's why we need your help.
There you go. We're here. We got you.
They keep me in the cellar. I'm not allowed out very often.
You're very lucky to have him in person.
Yeah,
It's a real honor.
Yeah,
and
it really
the more
is.
we learn, the bigger the pleasure becomes.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun.
Gentlemen, thanks again. And lady, thanks again
Cheers.
so much
Thank
for this
you.
wonderful interview.
Now you get to try some pies.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I've been staring at this little
Now
guy
you know
the
what,
entire
once you
time.
taste, you'll understand.